Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Money Matters event. We are so excited to have you joining us this evening, and we are ready to teach you about tonight's featured topic, which is savings. So while we give everyone some time to get logged in and settle, there's some housekeeping tips that I'm going to go over to make sure that we're all on the same page and we have a smooth session together. So first, please go ahead and make a note of what your Zoom profile says. And if it's not showing your first and last name, as well as your pronouns if you wish, then please go ahead and update that. Not only will it help us get to know you a little bit better, but it will also help us grant attendance credit for you being here today. So if you're not quite sure how to rename your Zoom profile, there's a couple different ways that you can do so. Option number one is to look down at the bottom of your Zoom toolbar, and you're going to click on the tab that says Participants. When you do, you should see a pop-up window appear with your name at the top of that list. Hover your mouse over your name, and you will see a white box appear with 3 little dots. Click on it, and then it will give you the ability to rename your Zoom profile. Another way that you can get to the same place to accomplish the same thing is to look up at all of the different webcam tiles that you should see at the top of your screen. And yours should be at the front of that row, even if you don't have your webcam turned on this very minute. But when you hover your mouse over your webcam tile, then you should again see 3 little dots appear in the top right corner. And when you click on those, it will give you the ability to rename your Zoom profile. So again, please go ahead and make notes of how it appears, and if needed, update it so that it shows both your first and last name, as well as your pronouns if you wish, so that we can make sure that you get that proper attendance credit where it is due. Now, also, please be aware that this recording or this presentation will be recorded for educational and promotional purposes so that folks who weren't able to join the live event are still able to watch, listen, and learn when we upload this recording to YouTube. You'll also be able to reflect back on the event by watching it as well if you wish. So for those purposes, you are welcome to have your webcams on. We love to see your faces, but it is not going to be required to participate in tonight's activities. So I see Francisco joining us tonight, and there is Shelly. Hi, so good to see you. Raiden, hi Raiden. We got a good looking bunch here tonight. Thank you all. All right. Please also know that closed captioning will be available and provided throughout tonight's entire event. If that would help you be able to follow along, all you need to do is just go down to the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. Again, click those 3 little dots that say more, and then you'll see the option to show subtitles. Now, because we want to make sure that we're all able to easily hear and understand the speaker at hand, we do ask for you to please make sure that your microphones stay on mute throughout the event. We get it, things happen that are beyond your control. Maybe somebody rings the doorbell, or your dog starts barking in the background, or maybe someone starts using that really loud ice machine you've been meaning to fix. You can't control all of those things, but what you can control is that mute button. So we thank you in advance for being courteous with that. However, please know that we want to get your questions answered throughout tonight. So at any point in time, you are welcome and encouraged to ask your questions through the Zoom chat box. We will be monitoring and responding to your questions throughout the entire event. And also whatever we aren't able to answer, we will save for our subject matter experts to answer towards the end. Now, in addition to wanting this to be a fun space where you get your questions answered and you learn a little bit more about savings, we also want this to be a safe space. So please make sure that you keep all conversation clean, respectful, and civil, and we thank you for that. Lastly, please know that at the end of this event, we will share access to our feedback survey, which you see previewed on the screen. That feedback survey is not only going to allow you to give input about this event so we know suggestions for improvement, but that is also going to be what confirms your attendance for tonight's event. And also we will then issue you a certificate of completion. Also, if you have attended both today and October's Money Matters events, then those surveys are going to be what officially enters you in our drawing for a $250 tuition award. More information on that later. But basically, make sure you hang with us throughout the entire event, now till 6 o'clock. And before you leave, make sure that you finish that feedback survey. Now, in addition to being entered in our ultimate drawing for the $250 tuition award, there's going to be other prize opportunities for you to win throughout tonight's event. So if you follow us on our social media, that will enter you to win some Pima swag items and goodies. So if you want to take some time to go look for these two different accounts, we will select 2 winners in total, 1 for each account. So to find the First Year Experience program on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, you're going to look for the handle at Pima FYE. And then if you want to connect with Pima's Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships through their account on Instagram, you're going to be looking for the handle at pima.financialaid.scholarships. And for convenience, we'll be sharing the links to those accounts in chat. So again, go follow us on those accounts. And for each account you follow, you have a drawing entry to win some Pima goodies, and we will announce those winners before tonight's event has ended. Now, Money Matters is brought to you by both Pima's Financial Aid Office as well as the First Year Experience program, but it wouldn't be possible without our partnership with 1AZ Credit Union. And so they have also generously offered up some prizes, and we'll have some special ways for you to win those. And Vanessa will share details about that process during her presentation. And then again, as already mentioned, but that should be your clue about how exciting and important it is. If you attended all Money Matters events from this semester, so the one we had in October, as well as tonight's, and you submitted that feedback survey, then that will be what gets you entered in our big drawing for the $250 tuition award, which can be used towards your tuition balance for the spring 2023 semester. We'll give you some more directions and details about that at the end of the event, but something for you to look forward to. Now, as mentioned, it took an incredible group of people to plan tonight's event and activities, and so I want to go ahead and introduce you to those folks. So with that, I will hand the mic over to Carla.
Hi, thank you, Renee. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Carla Gonzalez. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I am the Assistant Director of Scholarships and Outreach, and I work in the Office of Financial Aid. And so we are very excited to be here tonight and to be sharing information about savings. And with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to my colleague, Juanita.
Hi, my name is Juanita Bonias, and I work with Carla in the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm excited about this event. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. And for those who I have not yet met, my name is Renee Forsyth. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I lead the First Year Experience program here at Pima Community College. We host several different initiatives to get new students connected with resources and programs that will help them be successful. One of which is our adulting series, and I don't care where you are at in the adulting process, we can all learn how to improve our money matters skills. So thank you so much for joining us for this event. And then again, this event is in partnership with 1AZ Credit Union, and we have a fantastic individual who's going to be teaching us everything we need to know about savings. So I will hand the mic over to Vanessa.
Thank you, Renee. Always a great introduction there. My name is Vanessa Alfaro, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I have the opportunity and am so fortunate to be able to support our Southern Region associates and members here with 1AZ Credit Union. And I'll be presenting this evening. So I'm excited to meet all of you and share some information.
Great. So we're going to give Vanessa some time to get her slides queued up. She's going to be sharing with us information about our featured topic tonight, which is savings. So whenever you're ready, we are ready to learn from you, Vanessa.
Okay, here we go. I am with One AZ Credit Union. I'm sure a lot of you have seen us around town. We have been in the business for 70 years. So we're all over the place throughout the southern region, northern region, central region of Arizona. We have a lot of locations, 20 overall. So hopefully all of you are familiar with us by now. And we've done a lot of these presentations and we hope to keep coming back. So some great information about us there. Today or this evening, I should say, we're going to do a crash course in savings. So we're going to cover a couple of different helpful tips and tricks on savings, answer some questions towards the end. Some of those questions that prompted the information that we're going to cover, you may have had these questions yourself. Maybe your family, your friends have all maybe brought some of this up. Some of this might sound familiar to you, but some of what we're going to cover is what it means to pay yourself first. This is a term that we hear a lot when we're making a budget and planning for saving. We're also going to cover how to save for big purchases. Also information on the difference between checking and savings accounts, differences between savings and money market accounts. But before we go into the detailed information around some of those possible questions that you or anyone you know may have had or maybe presented to you, we're going to watch a quick video to recap and kick us off for what we're going to discuss throughout this evening's presentation. All right. Getting this video going here.
Make saving a priority. Saving money should always be a priority. Start by opening a savings account at your local bank or credit union. Consider setting up automatic monthly payments into your savings account. Include this monthly savings amount in your budget. Setting money aside each month allows you the flexibility to live on your own terms. If you have money saved, you're better prepared to handle unexpected costs, such as medical bills, car repairs, or losing a job. Saving money allows you to travel and explore. It also allows you to invest in interests or hobbies you enjoy. You may want to look into saving for the future, purchasing a car, a house, or putting away money for retirement. It's important to have a goal when saving money. Having a goal will help you determine your budget for other items.
How to save on discretionary expenses.
All right, that was our video to kick us off on some of those great things we're going to discuss and discover together here. Let's start with paying yourself first. What does that mean and why is it important? Well, in order to know how much you need to pay yourself, you have to start with the budget. But let's talk about what most of us are probably doing today. The norm today for most of us on this call is we get our paycheck, we cover all of our expenses, and then with whatever is left over might go to a savings or become your savings if there's anything left over after all of those expenses. That's typically the norm for most people when it comes to their finances. What does that look like? That's what my door looks like every day. That darn Amazon is built into my expenses. But this is where we're going to talk about, is this a need, a want? We're going to go into that. But this is what the norm looks like for most of us today. Our paychecks get in hand. We spend all of our money on those expenses, whether they're necessary, unnecessary, and then we may not have much left over for savings. This is what that process looks like. Here's your paycheck. You got your cell phone bills, all those subscriptions, Amazon being one of them, maybe some Hulu, Netflix. You got your rent or your mortgage if you're a homeowner. We got to dine out, have some fun. We have our internet Wi-Fi so we can attend all these Money Matters presentations from home. And then we want to have some fun, but we also need to eat. So we have those grocery expenses. And that's where your paycheck goes to. I don't know about all of you, but once all of this happens, I might not have that much left over from saving. So it's very important that we take this next step versus what our norm might be today. Here we go. Lastly, you might have some savings, but this is what it should look like, or we recommend it to look like. If you're really interested in saving, this is a best practice. This is where we get into paying yourself first. You always want to start with that budget to determine how much you can realistically pay yourself, because you never want to set an expectation that's too high and it's really hard for you to obtain or achieve. And then you start pulling from your savings because maybe you overcommitted. But basically, you treat yourself like a bill. So your paycheck comes and whatever you've determined in that budget is going to be your monthly bill to yourself, your monthly bill to your savings. That gets paid first the minute you get your paycheck. Then we go to your cell phone, your subscriptions, your rent, your mortgage, dining out, internet, fun, and groceries. That's all already built into your budget. But as you can see with this here, this might not be your norm today, but maybe something you want to start making a best practice, a normal practice going forward. And why is this so important? It's important to track what your mandatory expenses are. We all know we have to pay mortgage or rent. Maybe we're not there yet. Maybe our parents pay that for us, or we're living with a friend, but eventually we're going to have that mortgage or rent expense. Transportation, this could be your gas expenses, your auto expense, your car payments, maybe your bus pass for the month, whatever that transportation expense looks like for you. We have our electricity, our insurance, water bill, gas bill, all utilities, and even your groceries are a mandatory expense. So when we're thinking about how much you can pay yourself, write down your mandatory expenses first so that you can determine a realistic bill in order to pay yourself first. These are all needs. Then you have your discretionary expenses. That's going to be your entertainment, your online shopping, those Amazon boxes, going out to eat. That's obviously more expensive than making meals at home. Travel is a discretionary expense, streaming services, home decor, and even those gym memberships. We forget about those. I don't know if anyone else has one that comes out every month, but I haven't stepped foot in there for probably a year. So probably something I need to take a look at. But just some key points there, some most commonly determined mandatory and discretionary expenses, but this is important to know and identify each one for yourself. Under the mandatory, we're thinking about our needs. Under discretionary, we're thinking more about our wants there. Although I still don't want to go to the gym, so I don't know if I want to put that one on there. We'll move on from there. We're going to watch our next video that really dives more into discretionary items. So bear with me here while I get this video going.
How to save on discretionary expenses. Here are a few ways to save on discretionary spending like eating out and entertainment. 1. Make coffee at home. Even if you use a single-serving coffee maker, you are spending 45 cents to 65 cents per cup. If you go to your local coffee shop, you are spending anywhere from $2 to $5 for regular coffee or espresso drinks. 2. Eat at home or pack food to go. Eating out is expensive. Consider cooking with roommates or friends. 3. Look for promotional student discounts for entertainment like concerts or movies. 4. Cable TV is a discretionary expense. Call the provider to negotiate a better rate. or consider changing services. 5. Before making a purchase, think about it for 24 hours. Determine whether or not the purchase is a necessity.
Okay, definitely some eye-opening discretionary purchases there. I think one we might all be able to relate to is the coffee expense. I don't think about that very often, but I did add it up one time, and a couple trips to that, I don't know if I can say it, Starbucks, it could result in a car payment every month. So ask yourself, do you want to put that $5 or $4 towards your savings? Maybe you hold off on the extra shot that day. I don't know, but something to think about. As I was watching that video, I saw a couple of things that I think all of us can relate to there. All right. So again, we're looking at that setup versus when you pay yourself last, you have your mandatory expenses, your discretionary, then your savings. But you might want to create a chart similar to this, or maybe make some boxes to outline what yours look like today. Write down your own, set some time aside, start listing out your mandatory expenses versus maybe what you can do without in order to create that savings budget for yourself. Make it realistic. If we're making $200 a week, just lowballing it, and we say we're going to save $1,000 a month, maybe that's not very realistic. That's obviously an extreme scenario, but you definitely want to write it out and make sure that you're still comfortable with what you're paying yourself there. Some things that we probably want to save for. Some scenarios, emergency fund. That is the biggest one. That is the most important one to fund first. Purchasing stuff. This one can be anything. It can be anything from a concert ticket to buying a home. And then also building wealth. So are you saving for your retirement? What's it going to be like for you 30 years down the road? Maybe when you're not working, have a family, whatever that might be, you want to make sure that you have a plan in place for that. Emergency funds can really catch us off guard. So it's extremely important that we have that backup fund there. Flexible expenses. I'm going to play another quick video for you.
How to save on flexible expenses. 1. Look for coupons or apps to save on items that you buy regularly. Shop at discount grocery stores. 2. Plan and look for sales to find affordable clothing. 3. Save on utilities by turning off lights and watching how much water you use. Use energy-efficient light bulbs and set the heat or air conditioning at a reasonable temperature. 4. Look for alternative ways to purchase your textbooks. For example, buy used or rent. Search online for the best price. 5. Consider alternative transportation to driving. Use public transportation, carpool, or ride a bike.
How to save on fixed expenses.
All right, so some flexible expenses. One that wasn't listed there that we really should talk about more is our car insurance, our insurance in general. If you're not renewing that every year or looking at your options every year, you may not know that that expense can actually go down over time. So some things that you can do to help yourself save a little more is maybe set a calendar reminder every year to go over some of those rates that might have changed to save you money over time. We look for service providers like our TV cable providers They'll give us discounts when it's time to renew, but definitely car insurance can be a huge savings. So definitely look at that to make sure that you have more in your budget to put aside towards your savings plan. Emergency funds. The rule here is typically 6 months worth of your expenses. This one says 3 to 6 months to really give yourself a nice cushion. You want to have 6 months worth of your monthly expenses saved. So this means your mortgage, your rent, your car payments. It's a really good rule of thumb to have at least 6 months backup just in case an emergency arises. It's not your monthly income, but your monthly average expenses. 6 months is a good idea to start saving for those emergencies. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this though before I go to the next slide. So on these emergency funds, if there's any job loss, it could take several months to replace that income. These emergencies, if they're unexpected, they can really set you back. They can cause overdraft fees and end up doubling that expense for you over time. So really pay attention to building your emergency fund first versus maybe that vacation fund that you can hold off. Maybe that's more of a want versus a need. All right, we're going to go into some of those fixed expenses. So through this video here, we'll play another quick video for you.
How to save on fixed expenses. The most difficult area to save money is on your fixed expenses like rent and utilities. You may not be able to address them right away, but throughout the year, you may find opportunities to save money. 1. When your lease is up, look for a cheaper place to live. You may also look into negotiating a longer-term lease at a lower rate. Consider getting 1 or more roommates. 2. Contact your internet, cell phone, and/or insurance company to negotiate a better rate, or consider switching companies for introductory rates. 3. Contact your credit card company to negotiate a lower interest rate or eliminate fees. How to research.
Okay, so it also touched on reviewing your insurance as well as other providers, also reaching out to those credit card companies to see if there's any promotional offers. A lot of times you'll see that there's maybe a bonus balance transfer in order for you to help save some interest on those outstanding balances. You can transfer over for a lower rate, which will free up some money and also help you pay your debt down faster. Stuff. This one's always interesting because there's a lot out there that we can purchase or that we may want. We look at anything from a vacation, new car, spring break, down payment for a house, or any other large purchase. But this could be smaller purchases too, like we mentioned earlier, maybe a concert ticket, something small that you're saving for, maybe some new Jordans. I don't know how much those go for these days, but some of those smaller ones are items that you also might want to save for. Okay. So when we're planning a savings plan, you want to ask yourself, how much do you need? And when do you want it or when do you need it? Those are 2 very good questions to determine before you budget out that savings plan. And then again, we want to pay yourself first. We're going to save this video for the end. So what does this look like? So if you have a vacation goal, maybe you want to go to Hawaii. That's kind of inexpensive for a Hawaii trip, but let's say you need to be there within 6 months and you need $3,000. What does that look like for you realistically? That would mean that you would need to put an additional $500 every month away, pay yourself an additional $500 a month, in addition to all of those fixed expenses and recreational expenses that you may have. That would be a breakdown of $125 a week with the same scenario, and $17 every day. So some of us might even be spending $17 a day right now on eating out, getting that Starbucks, maybe some additional gas expenses. I don't know what that looks like. Maybe you bought a snack from the vending machine in addition to going out for lunch, but that can actually, increase daily. It's doable, $17 a day when you break it down. Maybe look at what you may need to cut out from your daily routine or your expenses there. Okay, let's just say you have a bigger goal, bigger purchase. You want to buy a house in 5 years. You might need $40,000, or you want to save $40,000 to buy a home. You want to do that in the next 5 years. What does that mean monthly, weekly, daily for you? You would need to pay yourself $667 every month. Save $154 every week. And come up with $22 a day. So maybe we're not spending $22 a day right now on wants, but maybe there's some things that we can adjust to come up with that. Maybe it's not too far out of our reach there. But just creating that realistic budget, knowing what you can afford, what your daily expenses are, and timing that out and being very disciplined is going to help you get to that larger goal there. Let's talk about some differences between checking and savings accounts. On a checking account, you have full access for all of your spending. There's no limit on how many debit card swipes you can do, how many checks you can write if you're still a check writer. A lot of accounts these days have no fees, minimal fees, very small amounts to open, no minimum deposit, minimum requirements for balances monthly. You get a debit card, and it also comes with overdraft protection. So it's easy to lose track of our spending on our checking account, which is why it's important to also have a savings in addition to that main account that you have all of your expenses coming out. On a savings account, you actually have some limitations. It's meant for savings. So no matter what institution you're banking with or credit union, you are limited to 6 withdrawals per month. That's government regulation. That is not up to your bank. It helps you save and limit the amount of withdrawals. The standard savings earns very little interest. I don't know if any of you had a savings account today or if you've pulled it up, but it's about 0.05%, 0.10% on a regular standard savings. Usually about $5 to open if you're banking with a credit union. And it also might have some fees, especially with those restrictions on the amount of withdrawals that you can do out of a savings. This might sound like a lot, but the intent is for you to truly save, which is why they have those guidelines and restrictions in place on a savings account versus a checking where you have unlimited access. Any of us have probably been into the bank and seen advertisements for savings versus money market. We've heard money market accounts when we talk about investments, but here are some differences here. On the savings account, again, you have those 6 withdrawals, no checks come with that savings, earns less interest, and not as many requirements and restrictions there. But when you get over to the money market, you have no limits on withdrawals. Money markets often come with a book of checks. It earns a little bit more interest. So you might want to check around. I'm not going to quote any rates, but there are money markets out there where you can earn up to 1% on a certain balance, but you are required to maintain a higher balance typically on a money market than you would a standard savings. Usually we require a larger amount to open because we are paying more interest on a money market account. And ours, I believe, is $1,000 to start. So you'd want to check with your local financial institution to see what their requirements are for a money market if you are looking for access to your cash when you need it, but with a higher interest rate than maybe your standard savings. So you do have full access to both of these types of savings accounts. They're just differences when it comes to the amount of interest you're earning and how you can access that. You may also be able to get a debit card with your money market. Not all institutions offer a debit card with a money market. So you'd want to check, but you definitely have ways to access those funds easier than you would your savings. I'm going to end this with our final video here. The 12-minute video here, kind of recapping all of the different types of savings accounts, how you want to determine what type of savings account you're looking for here. So we're going to get some help here from Chelsea. I'm going to share this video with you. Bear with me, it's 12 minutes, but it's a lot of great information here.
While Vanessa gets that video queued, again, as a reminder, if there are any questions that have come to your mind with any of the information that Vanessa has shared, make sure that you write those down in the Zoom chat and we will collect them so that we can discuss them and get your questions answered later during the event. So I see that some of you all have already entered some great questions. Thank you so much. We have made note of them and we will make sure that we get them answered after the video.
Renee, thank you, because the video was actually playing the entire time.
I wondered, so I was gonna, yes. So we're not seeing it on our side.
Okay, let's try it again.
Yep.
Can you see it now?
Yes, it looks good. I can see it. So let's do
Let's try that again. Thank
audio
you.
check. Yes, take two.
Hey guys, it's Chelsea from the
There you go.
Financial Diet. And this week we are going to be talking about something that's pretty foundational to everyone getting better with money, but that we don't always take time to explore in depth. And that is the different kinds of savings accounts that everyone should have and what you should be doing with them. And if you feel like you are someone who is really behind in your savings goals, please remember that that makes you a normal American and that Americans in general are struggling with savings. In fact, 57% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings and 39% of Americans have no savings at all. So I want to talk to you about the kinds of savings that you should have in relative order of importance, so that you can start to think in terms of how you make your money work both shorter and longer term. There's no overnight solution to getting good with money, but being strategic and even just opening these accounts and putting your first initial dollars in them is one of the most easy first steps that you can take toward creating a life that is holistically better with money, one that's more safe, secure, predictable, and under your control. Savings are not just dollars sitting in an account. They're options, they're freedom, and they are your future. So let's get right into it with the 4 essential savings accounts everyone needs. Number 1 is your emergency savings. Now, if there's one subject that we tend to harp on more than any other at TFD, it is the immense importance of an emergency fund. And we suggest that you create this before you even start aggressively repaying debt or making any other big moves toward your financial future. Because the truth is, without an emergency savings account, literally any unexpected problem in your life, from losing your job to getting injured without the right coverage to even just having to unexpectedly move, can literally destroy your finances. This money is there for you to tap into when something unexpected happens so that you don't have to, for example, put it on a credit card you can't pay back, borrow the money on really terrible terms, or simply not be able to deal with that problem and go into debt or collections. In the case of needing it to move unexpectedly, not having that savings could literally leave you homeless. But despite its importance, emergency funds are not as universal as you would think they would be. In fact, only 30% of millennials have an emergency fund that could cover 3 months of expenses. And that is about the average amount recommended to have in this account. It's easy to think of, for example, in terms of losing your job. It would allow you that 3-month buffer to not be evicted from your home or not be able to feed yourself. And when we say 3 months of expenses, that's your bare minimum just being able to live and pay your bills expenses. It's not a fun 3 months. This lack of emergency fund directly explains why about half of Americans are an unexpected $400 expense from serious financial ruin. That simple $400 expense could leave them literally unable to pay the rest of their bills, including the one they need to live in their home. And while your emergency fund must be in a normal savings account that is totally liquid, which means you can take that money out at any time, hence break in case of emergency, I recommend personally that you keep this savings account at a bank totally separate from your checking account, especially if you're someone who, like me, has a hard time really meeting those savings goals without just siphoning off a little here and there, because why not? Having that money not be in any way attached to your card or even the bank account linked to your debit card means that you really have to go out of your way to take that money out on a day-to-day basis. And that could be the difference between keeping that $50 in there or transferring that $50 out of your emergency fund to pay for a night out with friends. There are high yield savings accounts options which are still totally liquid, and we'll link you to that in the description. But do keep in mind that the most important thing is that this money be available in an emergency. So tying it up in a longer term, for example, retirement account, which has serious penalties to taking out the money early, is a mistake. But above all, whether you're able to put 20% of each paycheck into your emergency fund until it's full up, or you can only afford to put in $5 a month, it needs to be your savings priority. If you don't have an emergency fund, you should consider yourself in a state of emergency.
Locate your nearest early voting locations and don't forget to bring an ID to vote in person.
Number 2 is retirement savings. Now, I put the retirement savings account immediately after the emergency fund in terms of importance because in addition to retirement savings being incredibly important, they're also some of the most potentially advantageous savings accounts that you can have. Many of them are tax advantaged, and some of them even come with an employer match. If you are one of the people who has a 401k available to you at work, you should be taking advantage of it, particularly if there is a match available. And what that means essentially is that for every dollar you put into that account, your employer will match a certain amount. If it is at all possible for you to do, you should be maxing out that match because it's frankly free money. And if you don't have access to a 401k, there are many other individual retirement accounts, or IRAs, available to you. And in the retirement account field, there's actually a bit of good news compared to how not great the news is for emergency funds. Around 82% of millennials are contributing to their 401ks, along with about 77% of Gen Xers. And this is great because investing early gives you one of the biggest financial advantages possible, which is a lot of time for that money to accrue compound interest. If it is at all possible, you should be contributing to your 401k at least to the top of your match. And beyond that, you can contribute more to your 401k, or you can open an additional retirement account. There are many different types of retirement accounts depending on your needs, and you can either do that research yourself, and we'll link you in the description to a great explainer on the different types of retirement accounts available, or you could speak with a financial planner. And remember that one of the most important things to keep in mind with retirement accounts is that unlike your other savings accounts, these are accounts that you should never ever touch if you can at all avoid it. There are a few rare cases in which there is more advantage to breaking a retirement account to make a different financial decision with that money. But in the vast, vast majority of cases, it should never be done because the tax benefits that come with a retirement account only apply when you let that account come to maturity. If you take that money out early, it is fully taxed and penalized. The entire tax advantage system exists so that that money will stay in these accounts for a long time, which is beneficial to the country for many reasons. Generally speaking, that money in your retirement account, while it is great to look look at from time to time and watch your net worth grow and all of that stuff should never ever be treated as money that is available to you. And while it can sometimes feel hard to imagine as a young, healthy, sprightly, active person, you will one day be of the age where that money will be available to you and you will need it. So a retirement account is a must. Number 3 is short-term savings. Now, this is all of your savings that should be in a liquid or readily available account, but which are not your emergency fund. And it's very important that when you are using savings accounts for short-term saving goals, like you're saving for a trip or maybe some new stuff for your apartment or even to move to a new apartment, it should never be in the same account as your emergency fund. When those amounts are conflated, it's easy to overdraw, and it's also easy to not really know on a day-to-day basis what money is for that emergency fund and what money is for that goal. Many people find it very helpful to have many savings accounts for many different short-term savings goals, and especially going in and changing those account names from some random generated number to the name of that goal can be very, very helpful in keeping that goal top of mind, which helps you when you're deciding between spending $20 on some fast fashion top or putting it toward that bigger, longer term goal. But longer term is relative, and even something that's going to happen within a year is still considered a short-term goal in the money world. Of course, you want to use the same strategy as with your emergency fund to find the higher yield accounts, but they still should be accessible to you, because if you need to get the money out in 6 months, you don't want to be in an account that would penalize you for doing it. We have TFD contributors who literally have up to 20 savings accounts that they're using for tons of different things, which not only allows them to clearly see all the different goals and how close or far away they are from hitting those goals, but also allows that money to be totally in clean categories and not mixed up with one another, where it's hard to really see what money is for what. That multiple savings account strategy is especially useful if you're someone who has a hard time reaching your goals. The less disciplined you are with saving for specific things, the more likely you should be using each account for a different goal. And lastly, I do still encourage that you keep your savings accounts away from the bank that you use for your checking account. When it's super easy to just reach into that other account and grab out a little money, you will do it much more often than you think. The last category is long-term savings accounts. Now, these are for all of your goals that are somewhere between that short-term stuff and the retirement account. Generally speaking, this is stuff that you're planning for about 5 to 10 years down the road. For many of us, it might be things like buying a home or going back to school or making some really big life change. And for this kind of goal, you're going to want a mix of those high-yield savings accounts and some investment accounts, which are not retirement accounts, it should be said. As Dan Kellemeyer of New Heights Financial Planning puts it, investment accounts should be used for savers who don't need that money for at least 5 or 10 years. If you want to save for a down payment on your house in 3 years, an investment account may bring much higher returns, but you risk actually losing money in the market, which is why it can be important to keep a mix of different accounts for these longer term goals so that you're able to better weather those potential fluctuations in the market. For these kind of goals, and especially being strategic about the kinds of accounts you're using, this is an area where it can be beneficial to speak to a financial planner. But if that's something that's not in your budget, we'll also link you in the description for a good explainer on saving for these medium-term goals in the way that best hits that balance between higher returns and lower risk. And whichever savings goal you're working toward or account you're feeding into, do remember that one of the most important things when it comes to any savings goal is to make sure that money is automatically deducted from your paycheck if at all possible. You should not see that money and have to physically move it over because A, you may forget to do that, as many of us do, but also B, in that actual movement, you are so easily tempted by other things that you could do with that money that would be maybe more immediately satisfying. Anytime you leave it up to human error to make sure that money gets into the right account, you're giving it another chance to not actually make it all the way into savings. A balanced, goal-oriented savings strategy is one of the biggest keys to long-term financial health. And starting with an emergency fund and even just putting $5 a month into that account, it's something that is accessible to everyone. It may seem like a goal that is so far away from you today to have a healthy retirement account or a full-up emergency fund or a few different long-term and short-term savings goals, but everyone has to start with that first step and that first dollar into the account. And often opening that account itself can be half the battle. And if your itself itself can be half the battle. And if you're ever looking for more tips and strategies on how to get better with money on an everyday basis, you should check out the Financial Diet on Instagram by clicking the link in our description.
Okay. Hopefully all of you found that last video that summarizes a lot helpful. I'm going to leave this up here. You can definitely scan this code because we do have that great offer for students and associates at Pima Community College. I'll let you scan that. But she did touch on a lot of great points there. Keeping that money separate is extremely important. No matter where you bank today, you have a mobile app. It is so easy to pull up those accounts and be able to swipe and transfer and deplete your savings account when you're out, or maybe you see something that you feel like you need right then and there. But we remember seeing earlier, you want to wait on that impulse purchase for at least 24 hours. If you don't need it the next day, you know, you probably could have held off on that expense. There's a lot of helpful tips there. Naming all of your accounts, that is absolutely something your financial institution can do. She did mention having 20 savings accounts. I think one of her colleagues has. I don't know if we're all going to be there one day, but definitely, you know, 2 savings accounts, a checking. If you have a significant other, maybe you have a joint, something that's also easier for you to manage. But for now, 2 savings accounts is a great way to start if you have a need to separate some of those funds, and absolutely keep them separated from those financial institutions. But we're going to go to the next prize that 1AZ is offering. This little scan here, and there's a link that was shared, is going to take you to our website that we share a landing page with Pima Community College on. This you do not have to be a member for, so this is really exciting. So hopefully all of you are hanging in there with me and you're getting this information, because you do not need to be a member with 1AZ Credit Union for this. You can go on our website using this QR code or the link that's shared in the chat. You can register to win a $50 gift card to help with some of those school expenses and that very nice Adidas backpack there. You can register all the way through, let's see here, Friday, November 11th. That link will be active, and we'll draw the winner on November 15th, and you'll be getting a phone call from me or an email. So please take advantage of that link. Again, you do not need to be a member. We appreciate all of you joining, and I'm excited to answer all of the questions. I know we're going to have a lot, so I'll be looking forward to that here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vanessa. This was amazing information. The videos were great. They provided additional information. We do have a couple of questions that came in from our amazing audience today. And so I'm going to go ahead and ask the first one. How would we ask for a little interest?
That is a good question. That is a big question. So, you know, there are so many different types of accounts, and we know the environment we're in today. We don't see the interest rates that we saw maybe 10 years ago. But if you go into your bank or your credit union and you ask to sit down with a banker and go over different types of accounts where you can earn interest, they will gladly share that information with you. They should have what they refer to as a rate sheet. So it should list every type of savings account your financial institution offers, as well as the rate and the requirements. Earlier, we talked about minimum balance requirements in some of those savings accounts, savings versus money market. That rate sheet will have all of that information listed for you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Another question is, can you open an account with can you open an account in Arizona if you live in another state?
That has conditions. So when you are working with a large bank, absolutely. You can bank anywhere. Credit unions, we know we're all about our community. We serve the local community. We're very focused on keeping everything here with the state of Arizona. So if you do bank with a credit union today, you would have to live or work in the state of Arizona if you're banking with any credit union at this point. But if you're working with a larger bank, you can bank state to state. Now, if you open a credit union account, any credit union of your choice, hopefully 1AZ, if you open an account with us and you move, you can absolutely keep that account here and still do your banking and have access to that mobile app and do your online banking in a different state, as long as you lived here at the time of opening that account.
Thank you.
Sorry, a follow-up question on
yeah.
that. Just so if a student is attending Pima and so they're here, let's say for the semester, but they're not a resident of Arizona, would they still be able to open an account that way?
Yes. So a lot of great questions. You guys are really challenging me here. So yes, you can. However, due to the regulations and Privacy Act, we have to know every member. So you would be required to provide a physical address. So if you're living with a friend, if you have any school documents showing that you are temporarily housed here in the state of Arizona, you would be required to provide additional documentation, or at least be able to say that you have a physical address here in the state of Arizona.
Awesome. And kind of alluding to that, can a student open an account with 1AZ using their student ID number?
Not the student ID number, because of all of those regulations and knowing, we don't want any fraudsters coming in, not that anyone on this call is a fraudster, but we do have certain requirements that the government makes us follow. And in order to protect you and the organization, and you would have to have some type of government ID. So that would mean that you would need a driver's license, passport, state ID. So if you have any of those, then you would absolutely be able to open the account.
Thank you. And just a follow up, what if somebody lives in a shelter? How would that work?
That one is tricky because it's not a physical address. We would not be able to open that account unless you had maybe a sponsor or somebody here that had a physical address that can sponsor you to open that account with 1AZ.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, those are some of the questions that we had. We have a few more, but we're going to save them for a little bit after this next activity. Did we mention there's a pop quiz, everyone? No? Well, just kidding. But we are going to do a quick activity here. So just bear with me. I'm going to get it started. And we're just going to test and see if we can apply what we learned today with Vanessa. So really quick, if you've done a Menti activity before, you're going to want to go to www.menti.com. And I think the link will be shared shortly via the chat as well. And then once you're in there, you can enter the code 78928 so you can participate in this activity, or you can scan the QR code if you have another device available with you. So really quick, we're going to have a couple of questions, and then everybody can participate, okay? All right, so one more time, the code is 78928. All right, so let's get started. So just to get everybody feeling this, which one are you when it comes to making a purchase? Are you the type of person that is there a room in the budget? Or are you I have to buy it, it's on sale? I must admit, I'm her. All right, awesome. Most of you are stick to your budget, and that's the right thing to do. That's awesome. And there's a couple of us, that sometimes will get carried away with a sale, but you can always make room on your budget for those unexpected expenses too. So good job, everyone. All right, next slide. So we're going to talk about paying yourself first. So a penny saved and is a penny earned, right? I think most of you have heard that saying at one point, and it's true. So meet our friends Ben and Jen, so our couple here. So we're going to do a little scenario. So they each have a savings goal of $6,000. So you are going to need a calculator for this one, okay? So Ben has $500 that are not allocated to his budget. and does not have a savings budget item. Okay, so he has an extra $500 there. He puts $300 per month into savings and spends the remaining $200 on unbudgeted items. Okay, so keep that in mind. He needs to be able to save $6,000. Now, Jen, on the other hand, she has a $300 savings budget item for each month, but she just finished paying her credit card. So she has an extra $200 that she's going to add to her savings budget item. So now she has a total of $500 that she will be putting towards savings. So how many months will it take each one to reach their 6,000 savings goal? So I'm going to leave it up for a little bit just so you can all do the math here, and then we'll answer on the next slide. So any questions about the scenario with our friends Ben and Jen? All right. Okay, so I'm going to switch over. So how many months will it take each one to reach their $6,000 savings goal? So is it going to take, so if you want to have an answer, I'll share in a minute. All right. Good job, everyone. So as you're answering, so $6,000 divided by 300, that will give you the 20 months. So it will take Ben 20 months to save $6,000. And then Jen, since she's putting $500 each month, it'll take her 12 months to save $6,000. So good job. Good job, everyone. All right, next. So you want to share what could Ben do to reduce the amount of time it will take him to save the $6,000? Any strategies you want to share? Awesome. Save the whole 500 because he had an additional $200 that he was just spending crazy. Save it all. Yeah, absolutely. Good options. Definitely. Look at his budget, right? Yep. Awesome. All right. So money market versus savings. So are money market accounts and money market investment accounts the same? True or false? False? Absolutely false, right? They're not the same thing. They sound the same, but they're not the same. They have different they're slightly different. Okay, good job. All right.
I can touch on that, Carla, when
yeah,
we're
go ahead.
finished too. I can touch
Go
on
ahead.
the differences when we're finished with that.
Sounds good. So money market accounts and savings accounts, both insured by the FDIC. True or false? Money market accounts and savings accounts are both insured by the FDIC. True or false? True. All right, good job, everyone. Okay, so would you use a money market account for the following? You can rate them: to save for an 84-inch TV, to save for a 2022 SUV, or to save for your upcoming 3-day road trip. Awesome. All right, good job. So typically you would want to use your money market account for like a longer term goal, just because it'll give you a little bit more interest and stuff. But Vanessa can tell us a little bit more how to use that. All right, so next, so checking versus savings. So what type of transactions are recommended for the use of a checking account? Payment of utility bills, rental of Airbnb for vacation, saving for a down payment for a house, or payment of oil change for the car. Awesome. Yep. Definitely. So as Vanessa had shared, with savings account, there's limited withdrawals. So you want to make sure you're not paying your bills or stuff like that with your savings account. All right, good job. These are too easy for all of you. All right, so which of the following statements is not true? A savings account may have limited withdrawals per month. A checking account may have low or no fees. A savings account will not require a small deposit to open. A checking account will provide a debit card. So, yep. Good job. Awesome. All right. Yes. All right. And so let's recap really quick. So what is the most important thing you learned today about savings? Anybody want to share? I learned I need to have a goal, a savings goal for sure. Right. Anybody else want to share? Don't be shy.
I learned that we can save money in way different ways than I knew before. I thought it was just a savings account, but there's so many new ways that we're able to spread out and invest and, build more foundation for ourselves.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing, Felicia. Thank you. And yes, thank you for sharing on the screen. Those of you, pay yourself first, setting goals, more resources, staying strong, definitely stay disciplined, and it's important, make it a priority, right? So great responses. Thank you all for sharing. I appreciate that. And then please share any money saving strategies that you have found helpful in your experience. Anything that helps you all. So I know for me, definitely having a separate savings account that is for a specific goal. If I don't do that, then it's not going to happen. So making tea at home instead of stopping at Dutch. Yep. For sure. Or making that coffee at home instead of stopping at Starbucks or anywhere else. Yep. Any return as cash back. Don't eat out as much. Making food at home. Oh, that goes for me, man. I'm awful at that. I try every week, but it doesn't happen. Organize your bills, savings. Definitely groceries versus fast food makes a difference. So awesome. Thank you for sharing. We appreciate that. And we all learn from each other too. So thank you. All right. So why is it important to pay yourself first? Anybody? I know when I don't pay myself first, I notice my savings doesn't grow. It's easy to spend money on something else. You matter. Absolutely. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Awesome. Good job. Reward. Yes. All right. Well, have a balance. Reward. Yes, definitely. Pay yourself first. That's how you get goals accomplished. That vacation, that retirement, that home, pay yourself first. You're worth it. All right. So let us know how did you find today's lesson? On a quick scale here. feeling lost, understanding some things, or you learned about savings and saving strategies. Awesome. Good job, everyone. Thank you for your feedback. All right, well, with that, I'll go ahead and take it back to some of the questions that we had here. So, Vanessa, we have a few more questions for you.
Great. Before I forget, I'm going to
yes.
answer that one on the money markets just before I forget. So we have the money market savings, and it's interesting because we actually hear this a lot in our credit union environment or the bank environment. We'll offer it as a solution for higher interest to be paid, and the first response we usually get is, "I don't want to tie my money up," or "I don't want to invest my money." And it is when you're working with your banker at the branch level, and we mentioned a money market, it is a liquid savings account that you have full access to pull from anytime. But when you look at investment, that's a key word there. So there are two different types of money market accounts. When you start to look at investments, the benefit of a money market investment account is that you're going to earn higher interest. Not sure if any of you know this, but you typically earn a higher interest rate when there's more risk. So a money market, standard money market account with your banker, local banker, there's no risk. You're guaranteed a certain rate. With an investment account, you're invested in different items. You would have to meet with a licensed investment banker to have a money market investment account, and they would help you determine how you want to invest that money. So definitely some differences there, but if you are opening a standard money market account, you will definitely have access to that. There's just less risk, so you see typically a little bit lower rate on that type of money market account.
Thank you so much for that. That's awesome.
One more thing I noticed on that slide, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
My own questions. When you're looking at insurance, it mentioned FDIC. You are FDIC insured, which goes with that less risk, right? We're insured by the government, we're backed by the government, so you're not going to lose your money on those savings and money market accounts. One thing you might see when you walk into a credit union is NCUA. And that is our FDIC insurance for all credit unions. So just in case anyone might have had that question, wanted to answer that ahead of time because I did see that difference. And same thing as FDIC, but it's for the credit unions.
Thank you. Awesome. We appreciate that follow-up. So here's a few other questions that came in. Should you continue to consistently put money into an emergency fund after you save for 3 to 6 months worth of expenses?
I think if it's in your budget and you've budgeted for that emergency fund, you should absolutely continue if you can. Because there might be a day where you need to deplete that emergency fund and you wouldn't have to start over from ground zero to rebuild. You would have that extra cushion. So if it's already built into your budget, there's no harm in continuing to save that emergency fund and build that emergency fund.
Thank you.
You can even possibly get to a certain point and then move some over to maybe one of your other savings accounts. You can determine how you want to move that money. No harm in saving additional when it comes to those emergencies.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So is it reasonable to open a Roth IRA when you're 20?
So I'm going to have you talk to your advisor for that one because everybody's investment situation is different. We'd want to sit down and give you a full review. If you go into any of your banks or credit unions, you should be able to speak with a financial advisor for free. I don't want to give too much advice on the Roth IRA or investment money market accounts because it really determines on if you already have a 401k or if you have another type of savings, if you have some type of inheritance we don't know about. So in order to give you some really good advice on that one, we need to have the full picture.
Okay,
definitely speak with an advisor. It is free to speak with a licensed advisor.
Okay, awesome. So this is kind of referring to last meeting, but about credit. So the credit card is under say somebody's name, but linked to their parent. Is it building their credit score?
Yes, if you are on there as an authorized user, depending on how that parent added you, if you were an authorized user and they provided your social to that creditor, it will help improve your credit score as long as they're responsible with that credit account. If they add you as an authorized user and they're maxing on the account, that's your credit's probably going to take a hit. But if you're under that 30% utilization, it should help benefit. It also helps show that length of history. Longer term accounts, they also help your credit score.
Thank you. Another question about credit cards though, but should I pay, if I have a credit card, should I pay minimal payment or full payment each month to not
That's
get
a great
interest?
question. Yeah, because tonight we're talking about savings. In our last presentation, we talked a lot about paying off that debt and what it looks like when you carry it. So in this case, if you spent that money and intended to pay that credit card off in full, absolutely continue to pay it off in full. What they had referenced earlier in some of those videos is, not taking your entire savings and paying off all of your debt, because if you deplete your savings, you have no cash flow. And now you might run the risk of having those accounts charged off. But in the perfect world, you wouldn't use the credit card unless you had the funds to pay it off before the next billing cycle. But if you're carrying that debt, you might want to continue to make minimum payments or maybe above the minimum payment until you can get that emergency fund built up.
Thank you for that. This one, you may have mentioned it, but let's just ask again. Can you open an account online with 1AZ Credit Union?
Absolutely. Yes, you can. And those QR codes we showed earlier and some of the links that I know these nice ladies are sharing in our chat will take you right to our website. And you'll want to make sure that you select that student dropdown so you can get that $100 offer.
Thank you. What percentage of your paycheck should go towards discretionary purchases?
That is a personal preference, but definitely look at your budget. I would say look at your budget, see what's realistic, see what you can afford, because again, you don't want to set a goal too high or that's not realistic and then we don't stick to it. And now we're pulling from our savings, dipping into our savings, or maybe not even saving at all because we didn't budget appropriately and account for those discretionary expenses. So, I mean, really, it's what's important to you, your hobbies, nails, Dutch Bros, whatever you do for your self-care, whatever you're willing to give up there. But definitely make sure that you're saving, you're paying yourself and you're acting as a bill before you determine some of those flexible discretionary expenses.
Great advice. Thank you. Can you have more than one IRA?
Yes, because you can have IRAs with different institutions.
Okay. Does 1AZ offer retirement plans that we can contribute to that we can't touch or withdraw until retirement?
Yes, we have investment IRA accounts, and you can, if you are interested in 1AZ, you can go into any of our branches and request an appointment with a licensed financial advisor that would help you set up an account with those retirement restrictions in place.
Thank you. And what are the pros and cons of having a joint versus separate account with a significant other?
I think I need my marriage counselor right now. No, this is also a personal choice. If it just depends. It's really how you run your household. I can tell you how we personally have it set up, and this has worked great for us. I have my personal, he has his sole account, and we have one joint account. So all of our mutual bills are going in there. We also have a joint savings account. So, we have taken a few trips this year. We both determine how much we can contribute to that, but we communicate what's in the budget, how much we're putting towards our savings for that, how much we're putting towards our emergency fund in our own separate accounts. And then we come together on those joint budgets. So that's how it works for us. I'm not sure how it works without getting into too much, but hopefully that helps. But we definitely have a personal and then a joint together.
Awesome. So as you mentioned, definitely personal preference and everybody's comfort. Definitely. Good Good answer. Thank you. So
Mhm.
you didn't know you were going to become a marriage counselor.
I know. I have to
Just
my
kidding.
secret. I didn't want to mention my secret shopping fund. I'm like, well, it depends who you ask, because my husband's like, where are all these Amazon boxes coming from? So, but yeah, it's personal preference. But it is good to at least have one joint account if you're sharing household expenses.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I think one more question here before we wrap it up with the questions. So is a certificate of deposit or a CD more of an investment account as opposed to a savings account?
I love this question because I actually notated as those videos were playing that I wanted to touch on this. So a CD has restrictions. There are also CDs that are tied to investments where you're tied to the market. But there's also a CD that you can get at any of your local financial institutions. Those do have restrictions. If you commit to a CD or what we call a time deposit, you're starting with a certain dollar amount. They typically have slightly higher interest rates than you would see on a money market or standard savings account, but you're locked into whatever term that you agree to. So you can have a 6-month CD, a 12-month CD, a 5-year CD, and that interest will grow over that time. This is that one where maybe if you know that your long-term goal is to buy a house, you want to put that money away for 5 years. That is where maybe you would want to do a CD. But just know if you pull it out before whatever term you agree to, you will have penalties. So every bank charges different penalties. So I won't quote those on tonight's call, but definitely read the fine print, ask those questions because they are locked into whatever term you choose. But you can pick a short-term CD or even a long-term CD, depending on what your savings need is.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vanessa. We appreciate that. A wealth of knowledge. We really appreciate it. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Renee. Or yes.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, everyone. So for additional information, we have developed this handout, which has been shared with you as a link in chat. And so that way, if you would like some additional information about how to, just continue practicing these activities for more informational videos, etc., you can view those through this handout that is available to you virtually. Also, we want to take a moment to congratulate our prize winners. So for right now, we have selected the drawing winners who followed the social media accounts for the First Year Experience Program, as well as Pima's Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. So congratulations to Adrian Garza and Melissa Garcia Padron. You have won this prize bundle that you see pictured on the screen. So virtual round of applause to our lucky winners. So we will get these packaged and sent out to you in a few weeks. Please allow some time for them to be delivered to you through the mail. But we hope that you enjoy your special prize items from Pima. Also, as a reminder, 1AZ has generously donated some prizes as well. And so you just need to follow those details and information that were outlined before. So basically, if you follow this link that is here, it is going to take you to our partnership page with 1AZ Credit Union so that you can learn more about their institution, the resources that they have available to you. And if you want, you can explore the special offers that they have for our Pima students as well. So if you follow that page, it's going to be what helps get you entered in this drawing to win the Adidas backpack, as well as the $50 Office Max gift card. So you can scan the QR code on the screen if you wish. And so the sweepstakes are going to begin tonight and will end Friday, November 11th at 5 o'clock. And the winner will be selected on Tuesday, November 15th by a random drawing. And then you can pick up your prizes at any of the 1AZ branches. They'll follow up with you and contact you to notify if you are the lucky winner. And then as a reminder, if you have not done so already, please make sure that you fill out our feedback survey through the link that is shared both on the screen, but again, it is also available to you in the Zoom chat. This is going to be what officially confirms your attendance for tonight's event. And also, when you submit this feedback survey, we will then follow up and send you a certificate of completion to verify that you finished tonight's online event. Also, that feedback survey is going to be what gets you entered in the drawing if you attended both tonight's and October's Money Matter event. So we're going to be going through and seeing who we have feedback surveys for both of the events. And those folks will be entered in our drawing to win the $250 tuition award, which can be applied to tuition balance at Pima for the spring semester. So we will be hosting that drawing next week. We will reach out and contact the winner through email, and we will also post that recording of the drawing on our YouTube page as well for @Pima Student Engagement. You'll see that also in that feedback survey, there's an opportunity to share not only your feedback about tonight, but also if there are other topics of interest that we can connect you with the resources. And so please let us know any and all feedback that you have to share. It is greatly appreciated. This will be our last event for this fall semester, and so we are working to build our schedule for spring 2023. So make sure that you pay attention to our financial aid events website as well as Pima Engage, and we will have our schedule of upcoming events posted there soon. Also, again, at any point in time, you are welcome to visit us on our YouTube page @Pima Student Engagement. Link is shared in chat. And that is where we will load a recording from tonight's event. Allow us a few weeks to get that edited and available. But also you can see all of our past events in there as well to get more information about the various topics where some of those questions were coming up about credit scores, borrowing, and more. Also, in that post feedback survey, if you would like 1AZ Credit Union to follow up with you to answer any additional questions you might have, you will have the opportunity to opt into that. Otherwise, we'll make sure to also send you a copy of tonight's slides to your email so that you can access that material that way as well. We want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We hope that you were able to enjoy the event and learn a lot from all of the special experts that shared today. Again, many thanks to my colleagues as well as 1AZ Credit Union. We hope to see you again at another Money Matters event. But until then, take care, keep striving, and have a great rest of your semester, everyone. Bye-bye.